Final Fantasy XIV Evercold was announced at FanFest, bringing with it sweeping changes to almost every facet of the game. So it is our sacred duty to rank all of the announcements for the new expansion. Hello everybody, it's your boy Jmulls, and bundle up because it's about to get Evercold. Here's how this is going to work. We're going to go from worst to best. Now, I say worst in the very literal sense. It's not really an announcement that they made that I dislike, but I think it's only right to begin with this. Their whole bit where they talked about improving quests and field content. And I put this one here because we just simply don't have enough information, so I kind of have it unranked, but I wanted to talk about it right now because this could easily be in like my top 3, depending upon how they actually execute on this. I've been wanting more content in the overworld, making the world feel alive for an MMORPG. If they're able to stick the landing here, that would be amazing. Only putting it here as unranked because they barely went into info is more like an announcement saying, hey, come back for Berlin and Tokyo, we'll talk more about it there. Next up, let's talk about seasons, and I put this here because from the sounds of it, it's basically just them renaming the way Final Fantasy XIV already works, and instead of just calling it a raid tier, now it's called a season. It feels like a design that's just meant to make shareholders and investors go, oh, okay, thank God everyone else is doing seasons, we are doing seasons as well, okay, good. Because gameplay-wise, it doesn't really sound as if it's going to change anything, and you see like Season 1.0 and Point 1, that's just the first raid tier, Point 2, Point 3 being the next season. It seems like it's more just renaming something that's already been established, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. I mean, they could expand on this in the future with like future announcements and all that, but as of right now, sounds harmless to me. Next up, we have the actual release date for Evercold, and it's January 2027. I think it's a pretty good release date. I was never expecting the next expansion to come out in 2026. That would have really broken normality for them, and they don't really do that besides like every other element for the game with the next expansion, it turns out. But besides that, it's kind of here or there for me. And again, this is one of those announcements where it's like, yeah, it does kind of suck. We have to wait all the way until 2027 for all these changes because they sound good across the board. But it's also understandable because they have to develop the freaking game first, you know? I don't particularly want them to go into like a back room and go, okay, Chat GPT or Claude, whatever people are using now, for the love of God, make a game for us. I don't want them to do that. I will say it was really cool that we actually got the announcement for the release date in the first FanFest. That breaks normality as well. Getting an actual window, pretty good stuff. Just for me, I care more about how the actual game's going to be put together, how stable it's going to be, how fun it's going to be. Though it's nice to see it's not like later in 2027, we're getting it rather early. Probably a best case scenario, all things considered. Now, for this video, I am largely ranking 8.0 specific announcements, though I will be breaking that rule on occasion, depending upon if I think it's like worthy to be included in this list or not. This will be one of those occasions, them dropping PlayStation 4 support. People will probably lose access to the game. You can make an argument that it's 2026, just get a PS5 or a different platform. Sure, I can still sympathize with people that are still stuck on older hardware personally, though I think, and this is the reason this isn't like the worst enchant on this list for me, it's nice to see that they're no longer going to be bound by old PS4 hardware constraints. Now, granted, I don't think this is happening till I think they said 8.3, but still, at least it's going to happen at some point. Next up is the Switch 2 announcement for me. I'm never going to touch this thing. The sub situation is really stupid. I don't blame Square Enix for that. That's like Nintendo, or at least they made it sound as if that was a Nintendo compromise. I am a fan of multi-platform ports. I'm glad more people can have access to Final Fantasy XIV. Despite the fact I'm not going to touch this thing with like a 12-foot pole, I'm glad to see it's coming to more hardware. I just hope down the line it's not going to be that big of a constraint. Though the Switch 2 is way more powerful than a PS4, so that's a problem for a later year. Also, yeah, this technically isn't an 8.0 announcement because it's coming out in August, or at least early access is. This is one of those announcements where I think it's big enough to include on this list. Next up is stuff that I'm actually interested in personally, and that is the new glamour sets, and they're rather down low on this list because I don't think they look bad per se. They are kind of what I expect though. It's like, that's a summoner outfit, yeah, that's a paladin, nothing really outside normality. I feel like we've had 5 different sets over the years that basically just look like these. Like, that is the most dragoon set to ever dragoon a dragoon. Same with samurai, that's almost certainly astrologian, whatever you want to call that thing. None of these sets really really do it for me personally. I think the Dragoon one looks pretty good though, but I'm also kind of easy to please when it comes to Dragoon. And they show off even more sets here. Again, they're fine. Doesn't really do much for me. And then we have the announcement of 2 new jobs for Evercold, a main tank and a fizz range. I'm excited for what these could be. Now, I'm pretty sure Yoshi P's shit was supposed to tease that the main tank is going to be a dual shield gun kind of tank, like shield cannon, whatever they want to call that weapon. Basically based on the guy from the shirt that was Cape Westwind. I'm pretty sure that's going to be the main tank because that just makes a bunch of sense in my head. Yeah, the shit would be pretty on the nose, but the thing that's really intriguing to me is I don't know what that fizz range are going to be. They did say both jobs would be unique to Final Fantasy XIV, and like the only other weapon archetypes I can really think of is like Blitzballer or like the giant shurikens that Yuffie uses in Final Fantasy VII. But again, those aren't unique to Final Fantasy XIV. They're based in previous Final Fantasies, so that's probably not what it is. Maybe it could be like some kind of rifle, and they could make that in such a way to be distinct enough from Machinist. That could be really cool and might be up my alley. If it's like some kind of sniper rifle, that'd be awesome. I'm just gonna say, we need an ability based on that one E-Release raid. I need the line of dialogue we are able to say to be, "This will be your final testament." I need that badly. Mustadio job. Give me it now. Though again, I guess that is based in a previous Final Fantasy. Though I feel like we're skirting the line. That's basically just a sniper rifle. But next up is something that's a little bit more concrete in terms of detail. The 3rd difficulty level for 8-person raids. And they mention it would be between normal and savage. That's pretty dang cool to me. That's also a rather large shakeup. Time will tell if they're able to land it on like execution, whether the gear will be worth it, whether people actually want to do it or not. I imagine people will. I'm honestly just kind of happy more than anything they're willing to do something that is this seismic of a change and being willing to shake up the raid scene to this degree. That's a recurring element for me when it comes to Evercold. I'm just glad, even if they don't nail it with their initial implementation, I'm glad they're willing to do giant changes like this and just say, screw it. Let's see what sticks on the wall. Let's throw this crap like we're in the World Series or something. Completely down for this change in philosophy. Next up is the entry that, in my opinion, is the hottest to rank. Because on the surface, easily one of the coolest sounding additions. Character action skins, being able to change the actual animations of the abilities of your job, something people have wanted since time immemorial. People have used mods for years to get the same effect. It could be so dang cool, and I just worry that it's basically just shop slop. That's my main concern. Generally speaking, Final Fantasy XIV is pretty good about not just putting all the good stuff on the store and having really cool options in-game. So I'm hope they're able to continue that, because this could be a great mechanism and a lever they could pull to fix one of their longest running issues when it comes to non-raid content, and that is how to incentivize people to freaking do it. Housing items don't work. Not everyone has a house. Not everyone cares about housing. People care about looking at their characters though. Some people might not like the animation of a job. If you put a really cool animation behind like a new variant dungeon or a new deep dungeon floor or something, that's going to get people in the door to go out and get that. Being able to change how your character looks while they're actually performing combat, oh, that's a big motivating factor for a lot of people. I can already see it. If they are able to use this and incorporate the rewards in the game correctly, my God, this is a difference maker. Can't be the only lever in this regard that they pull, but giving themselves an additional one, it's a pretty powerful one too. I'm just saying. This could go either way. I want to be more optimistic, though I will say I do kind of hope it's more than just like, hey, how do you want your character positioned on your like spear, right? Like, I need more than this. This is just one little screenshot example, so we can't really go off of much more than that. I'm hoping when they go into more detail about this at probably the next fan fest, we'll see some really cool stuff. It's just like, even if we got recoloring of a lot of job actions, that could be so dang cool. The things I would do for Paladin to have like gold colored spell effects instead of like that shade of blue, my God. Next up, I'm putting the character creation options here solely off the cope that we're going to get more beard options as a result of this. Yeah, the color picker and all that stuff is interesting. I'm not going to use it, really. I'm just really hoping this and more is basically give me eyebrow options for Highlander. I do not care about lore-wise that they like cut the eyebrows off. It looks ugly. Give me eyebrows. And just mainly just give me beard options. That's all I'm asking asking for. But again, more character creation options, the better. But this one to me blows the last one out of the water. Like, this is such a cool ass change, man. Being able to toggle specific parts of your glamour and just turn them off. What a great change. And it's like, look at this like tome set right here and all the things you can disable. The shoulder pads, the giant belt going across like your entire chest, the belts around your waist as well. Such a cool change. Like, what a great addition to the game. It's like, people are gonna go nuts over this. I'm gonna go nuts over this. It does kind of depend upon how far you're gonna be able to go for some of these, but the examples they show, really promising. Now we're really getting into the this is game-changingly awesome category of the video. The Armoury system update. I'm a massive fan of this. Basically what it is an item level sync. So you have your main, let's say it's tank. You get that to item level 790, but your healer and your magic users, well, they're way lower than that. You see, absolute peasant hour over here. 752, typical healer. 766, what's that gonna do for me? Just shut up and cast flare, little bro. But instead of like having to grind so much in order to get the gear for these alt jobs, you just click a button, or I just assume it probably will do it automatically, and they sync your item level higher to your maxed one. In a lot of other games, I could understand trepidation at this system. In Final Fantasy XIV specifically, where one of the selling components for this game is being able to play all your jobs on one character, I think this is a beneficial addition to the game. Just leans into that playstyle, which is a draw to the game for so many people, that it never really felt like it truly embodied before, because you had to spend so much time just getting gear that doesn't really feel all that impactful in a game like Final Fantasy XIV for the vast majority of the player base in order to use these other jobs in the content you want to use them in. And I think they reached a really good compromise, because like, if you have a true item level 790 that is properly melded and all that, that's still going to be better than just scaling a lower item level job up to that item level. I think it's a really good compromise. There's still an incentive to get the gear, but if you just want to do the latest alliance raid on your alt, go ahead and do that. Don't worry about the fact you haven't really played it since the beginning of the expansion. What a great change. There's been many times over the years where I'm like, I kind of want to try out a different job. Oh no, I never got gear for this thing. I guess I'll just go screw myself. Just helps me play the game more in the way that I would want to play it. Thumbs up for me. Next up, we have the new Alliance Raid series with Evangelion Ghosts of Desire. First of all, S-tier name for a raid series. Second of all, I'm putting this high up, despite the fact that I've never seen Evangelion, for a couple of reasons. One, I have a massive weakness to giant robots. And you know, and kind of, the more I think about it, that's kind of the only reason I need for this. Look, I understand the argument that maybe we should be using the Alliance Raid series to flesh out more of the actual world of Final Fantasy XIV instead of largely using them for crossover events, and I do think I agree to that in some ways. However, I'm not gonna lie to you, I find the crossover ones fun. This might be a minority opinion. The Nier Alliance raids are still my favorite. I love those to death. Help said Nier Automata is my favorite game of all time. I love the Vanadil raids despite the fact I've never played Final Fantasy XI. The Evilise raids back in Stormblood are also S tier. I love them. And despite the fact I have a very limited understanding of Evangelion, I just think this crossover could be so dang cool and fun. I can only imagine the spectacle some of these fights are going to be. I imagine those skin suits are going to be some of the glamour sets, but if we also get glamour sets inspired by the actual Evas as well, oh buddy, give me that yesterday, today, and tomorrow. And on top of that, this is completely conspiratorial. It's like a matter of put 15 tinfoil hats on me and put me on the show Ancient Aliens. We're going that far with this theory. I believe the new Evangelion series coming out is being head up by Yoko Taro. For those who don't know, Yoko Taro is also the guy behind Nier. What if they find a way to continue the story from the Nier raids, which kind of left off on a bit of a cliffhanger, with Ghost of Desire? What if it's connected? Would it be? Probably not, because that would probably involve them making the Nier raids required content for this, and I don't know if I really see them doing doing that. If they do that, or they just say, screw it, we'll assume you have that information, but you can still do the raids regardless, and they actually continue that storyline, somehow with Evangelion. I don't even want to imagine the IP nightmare that might be, if it is one at all. Look, does it make sense? No, in any way, but would it be really freaking cool? Yes, it would. And am I also saying this solely because it would please me? Yes. You know, there's also a part of me that's really wondering if I should put this like way down further on the list, because the copyright issues every Final Fantasy XIV CC is going to have when this raid series come out is going to rival that of Nier. Heck, it's probably going to surpass it. But that's a problem for future me to put off to even further future me. Next up, we have the new adventure activity, basically transitioning the game away from a tombstone daily grind with roulettes into a weekly fill the bar. Once this really clicked for me, I just think this is such a good change, man. It's like that roulette grind and the tombstone grind. It's fine for a little bit, but to me, it gets so old so quickly. And it's been one of my biggest issues with the endgame in Final Fantasy XIV, and they're trying to address it. Thank God. This goes back to that point I keep hopping in on. They are finally willing to move away from established tradition and say, screw it, let's try something new, let's try to freshen up the experience, make things exciting once again. I've been wanting them to do stuff like this for a long time. I didn't think we would get changes to this scale, especially all at once with Evercold. I am such a big fan of the fact they're at least willing to try this. Now, one problem I can easily foresee is that they get the balance for the point distribution for these activities wrong, or these missions. I could easily see them messing up these numbers. But like, this is a very fixable issue with like a hot fix, right? The goal should be that if you want to just do crafting for the week, gathering for the week, fishing for the week, you just want to go do maybe some gold saucer, you want a PvP, you want to do dungeon spam, you want to do a mix of activities, that should be how this is balanced. Let you pick and choose how you're feeling for the week, what you want to progress in the game, and let you fill the bar by doing that activity. I like the idea that for like MSQ release, when you do the MSQ, you get a nice little chunk of the gauge with it. I love the fact that they put side quests here. My recommendation, make the side quest one repeatable. That way, if in like the opening weeks of a new patch, I can just say, you know what I want to do? I want to go do all the side quests, especially on like the launch of Evercold. Let me just say, you know what I want to do? I want to do all the various side quests. Let me fill the bar by doing that. This has been another issue I've had with Final Fantasy XIV, where I love the MSQ, but I never really care that much about the side quests. Give me more of a reason to want to go out and actually do them. That could be really dang cool. But if I need 3,000 points in a week and I can only do the side quest one once in a week and I only get 50 points, that's like nothing. These are massively work in progress. My recommendation would be, hey, maybe a few more of these should reward more points and also be repeatable. I just think this is such a healthy direction for the future of Final Fantasy XIV. The game has so many little different activities and pieces of content you can really sink your teeth into. Give me more of a reason to say, you know what, I want to go try out this for the week and not feel like I'm going to be behind because I'm not like doing my roulettes or whatever. If I only want to do roulettes and I only want to do dungeons, give me the mechanism to do that, which is what is listed here. I believe that plus sign is like, you can repeat this one. That's good. But I love the fact it just lets me do whatever. Lean into that. Don't shy away from it. Love this. Do I even have to say anything for this? Obviously, this has to be high up on the list. What a game changer. Let more people from within the same region play together. Larger player pool. Just good stuff all around, man. And that is the sentiment of people that play on Crystal, Dynamis, and Primal. I'm on Ether. I'm already with the big boys. Get these peasant-like data centers away from me, you know? Like, ew. Next up, we have the Evolve jobs, and I've gone into detail about these things relatively recently, so we don't need to rehash all those points, but what I will say is I'm such a big fan of, once again, them willing to say, screw it, let's swing for the fences, let's change core fundamental pillars of this game, and say, let's just try something different. Maybe we don't get it right initially, we can patch it, we can work on it, we can listen to player feedback, but being willing to change a core fundamental pillar of the game, like job design, the core way you interact with the game and engage with this as a product outside of the story, that shows to me and to a lot of people that may have been disillusioned with the game state for the longest time. We hear you, we are willing to change this game, we won't just rest on our laurels just because it's how we've always done it. We still care. They've always cared, but it's just another big example of them saying, hey, we aren't going to be stubborn here. You guys have an issue with this? Okay, let's try to fix this. We can debate about execution when it actually comes out. Intention for this kind of stuff truly matters in my opinion, because if the consumer thinks you don't care anymore, apathy will set in. But if they know you at least give a damn, that can go a long way. I think this goes a long way. This entire segment where they trotted out the CEO of Square Enix was the funniest thing I've seen in a long time. And the reason I put this so high, despite the fact I can't find the actual specific clip where it goes into this, one of the biggest problems I've seen in my own comments for a while at this point is that Square Enix was unwilling to give Final Fantasy XIV and Yoshi P's crew enough funding and resources to truly make this game shine. And they basically brought the CEO out to say, you know what? You guys got what you need. We're gonna make sure this game has what it needs for years to come. This goes right on back to that previous point in the Evolve job section we were just talking about. Stuff like this shows intention. Intention's not the only thing that matters. You have to get the execution right. No debate for me on that one. But if you don't have good ideas and your intentions aren't good to begin with, chances are the execution won't come around later on. And basically having a giant presentation where they show an absolutely awesome trailer, we will get to that, a bunch of fundamental changes to core pillars of Final Fantasy XIV, and then to wrap it all up in the keynote address, you bring in the big dude, the CEO, and just say, you know what? I'm cutting you guys a blank check. He didn't say that specifically, but that's how it felt. It shows a faith in the product, faith in long-term investment for the product, and I think we're already seeing it. If you have not played the MSQ to patch 7.5, I'm not gonna spoil it here, but it's almost entirely voiced. Stuff like that matters. We now arrive at the penultimate entry in my ranking, and that is the 4th overall, and just them going into detail about the new location we're going to. And if you want to know why I put this second and all the way up on this list, brother, look at it! This looks awesome! Now, granted, I'm being promised a snow expansion. We have yet to see any, but, like, these locations, man, they look freaking awesome. One of the most important elements, in my opinion, when it comes to hype for a new MMORPG expansion is caring about the world you're going to. It needs to grab me, pause. It needs to excite me, double pause. It needs to blow me what? Away. Look at it, man. Oh my god, it's cool. Look at like Temu Midgar over here. Like, my god, man. Look how grandiose and epic it looks. Do I even need to say anything? This is one of the coolest looking buildings I've ever seen out of that company. You know, that isn't just from straight peak. And like, yeah, I get it. Some of this is concept art. It's not going to look exactly like it does in game. But when the in-game stuff looks like this, man, oh my god. There's such a great use of spectacle, scale, and also the lighting, man. There are so many games nowadays. This isn't an issue with like Dawn Trail, by the way. Don't get it twisted. But there's so many like modern games nowadays that kind of forget just how good fog can look from a distance. And they just try to show you as much detail and give you as much render distance as humanly possible. And just look how pretty the like scale of this picture is. The bridges up top, the platforms, the way the lighting works with this dust or fog, whatever. It looks so good, man. This is the stuff I will eat up, tear up like a Christmas present. To me, this is such a great pivot from the aesthetic Dawn Trail presented. There's some pretty parts there, don't get me wrong, like the Mamulja Forest and Yaktel, my god. I will say this is far more up my alley though. I want to explore this world, I want to be in this world, and in any other Final Fantasy XIV expansion announcement, I would immediately be talking about how when we get to max level, there's gonna be nothing to do in the overworld, and they've already addressed that, and we talked about it early in the video. We have to wait wait and see what they're going to do. But if they're able to give me more of a reason to be out in the world at max level and just immerse myself in all of this, I need more than 2 thumbs up. I am a firm believer and advocate that in an MMORPG, I am supposed to care about the world. I have to immerse myself in the world. I have to care about the world. That can be done through a variety of means, but visual presentation is definitely one of the most important. No notes, this is incredible. But what I believe was the best announcement of Evercold at FanFest, it was the trailer. Coming off an expansion that disillusioned so many people with not only the game state of Final Fantasy XIV, but also the world and the story. For a lot of people, I think it's fair to say that Dawntrail was a stinker. 8.0 had a tall task ahead. It had to try to win a lot of those people back. I think Evercold did as good of a job as it possibly could. This trailer was well edited, it was well paced, had great variety in scenes and tones and atmosphere and visuals, made the world we're going to look very extravagant and cool. That's not a joke in the name Evercold. Everything just looked cool. We had the Scions looking dang cool, fighting some weird crystal enemy, and while there is definitely a lot going on in this Evercold teaser trailer, I think compared to Dawntrail, it also felt in a way more focused. Focused specifically though on interesting things that are happening and not just trying to show off Terral. It utilized this rather unique art style that looks dang cool, but still leaves this air of mystery as to what these things are going to look like in game, fully rendered and all that, what they are. And then we see this, and my god, the tone, the direction, the tension, without needing to say a word from these 2 characters specifically. You just have a really good song playing in the background, and you just have that guy look up. That is Final Fantasy XIV storytelling done well. Where in such a short section, I am absolutely enthralled by this corner of the world and whatever's going on with Dragon Aerith here and totally not Odin Sephiroth. In such a short section, they're able to nail that. All the while, they structure it as this story of totally not Y'shtola Shad here. She has a cat tail, by the way. Regaling this dragon child, I know aura on dragons, with a story. It's simple. It's been done before, not necessarily in Final Fantasy XIV, but the idea of just structuring this reveal as a story to be told to a child and also to us, really dang cool. And then it ends with the Warrior of Light as the Reaper. It's a giant tonal shift in direction. Trailers are your best foot forward. This was the first thing we saw in regards to 8.0. We hadn't even gotten 7.5 yet. This was the big reveal that we had. 7.0 was very controversial. My opinion, 7.2, 3, and 4 were really well done and executed, but they needed an awesome 0.0. This looks like an awesome 0.0. This got excitement in the building and in a lot of people, including myself, for all the announcements to come. In the grand scheme, all those other announcements will be more important because that's how we're going to interface with the game. That's how we're going to play the game. That's what we're going to progress in the game later on. The trailer to me was a tone setter for everything that was to come, and a really good trailer instills excitement for the game. And come on, yeah, I understand that mechanics, how things actually work and play in the game will be more important when the game actually comes out. But in your heart of hearts, when you first saw the trailer to things like Shadowbringers or Endwalker, and maybe you went out to watch other people's reactions to it, that was cool, wasn't it? It got you excited for the game. A good trailer is supposed to do that, and I think Evercold did a really good job of doing that. And looking back on it, this was still my favorite part of the entire presentation. So there's my ranking for all the announcements that I remember for Evercold from the North American Fan Fest. That's a lot of words, isn't it? But here's where you come in. Leave a comment down below with what your favorite announcement was, because we all have our own opinions, we all have our own preferences, and I want to hear yours down in the comments below. And also, what do you still hope to see from the future of Final Fantasy XIV? And while you're down there in the comments, please leave a like and subscribe. It really helps the channel out and helps support future content, and I greatly appreciate it. And we did kind of go past the Evolve Job section rather quickly, but that's because I've already gone into detail about my thoughts on the Evolve Job system. A whole new way to play Final Fantasy XIV. Want to find out more? Check out this video right here. Thank you all for tuning in. Stay safe, have a great day, and I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye, everybody. Until we meet again!